What's going on, everybody? It's Tomel Pittman, Tomel's Urban Report. I want to get right to it, and I don't want to waste any time. And I'm going to talk about human trafficking in the Black community and how it's devastating us. And I think that should be a main priority for every advocate, every community leader, every religious leader, any person of significance in the Black community. This is what you should be talking about. Don't praise any police officer for joining a police force simply because he's Black. Human trafficking is being overlooked by law enforcement, is being overlooked. Wait a minute. Black human trafficking and Black abduction, Black kidnapping is being overlooked by law enforcement, is being overlooked by the government, and is also being overlooked by the Black community because we're not taking it as serious. That's the number one priority. That's the number one issue we are facing, and we need to raise as much awareness as possible. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
So we got too many Black women and Black children coming up missing these days. Time for a safety check. Ladies, if you see these kind of vehicles parked, do not park next to them, and definitely don't park in between them. Also, if you're moving or having to shop during the day. Try to avoid going to major mall places in the evening or at night when it gets dark. So if you come out of a shopping area at night and you're wedged in between two vehicles like that, if you have an SUV, try to go through the trunk of the vehicle to get to the driver's seat. If you have to enter through the driver's side door, get your mace or get you a weapon out, because what they do is they jump out of those vehicles and hit you with a syringe to make you pass out. Also, if you see little cards and things like that on your windshield, avoid grabbing them. Many of those have a powder substance on them that seep into your skin, make you pass out. Also, if you get hit from behind, don't stop. That's another way that they use to get you out of the car to kidnap.
It is early in the morning. I was on my way to work. I dropped my baby girl off at school. My car started acting up. So her dad told me to catch a Lyft and leave my car there, and he would fix it for me. So I called the Lyft, got in the car with the Lyft, noticed that they were taking all these different turns, no major streets, was not following the GPS that they were supposed to be following. So I asked the guy, I said, why are you making all these turns? You know, this is not the way to my job. And he wouldn't answer me. He kept on just driving. So I'm noticing that I'm going down these different sidewalks, these neighborhoods. I'm so nervous, like I can't even really talk. So I'm asking the guy, like, why are you turning here? This is not the way to my job. So he kept telling me to be quiet, like, hold on, I know what I'm doing. So he pulls up behind this other car, like a big truck. I don't even know what it was. So I'm like just nervous because I'm on the phone the whole time and I wasn't paying attention the whole while that he was making all these turns. So I asked him, why don't you go around this truck? Why you just sitting behind the truck like this? I have to get to work. And then he wouldn't answer me. So a Black guy got out of the truck. He had braids in his head and everything, and he started opening the gates to this warehouse or whatever it was, and was telling the car that I was in, the Lyft driver, to back into the warehouse or whatever. So I'm like, what are you doing? You know, like, this not the way that you're supposed to be going to my job. So I'm telling y'all to be safe. I had to get out the car and run. I was in a Lyft. I have all his information and everything. I was riding in a Lyft car trying to get to work because my car was acting funny. I called the police and everything. I'm still waiting on the police. I'm safe. I'm waiting at a gas station. I'm just saying, be safe so y'all can share this video. I'm in Houston, Texas. I was on Richmond and Dunvale, and it's real out here.
A young woman screams for her life and fights off a man in this video before the guy finally lets go. The possible attempted abduction happened here on North 15th Street by Ridge Avenue in North Philadelphia just before 10 o'clock Sunday morning.
I mean, he definitely was trying to take her.
This man heard the woman's screams from inside his home, but didn't think anything of it until he checked his front door security camera that captured the incident. Watch again. You see the attacker casually walk away after letting go of the woman.
It's a good thing she fought back, and, you know, so maybe he just was trying to get out of Dodge.
The brazen ambush also happened while people are seen walking on the sidewalk across the street. After the woman's freed, she quickly walks over to them. Listen closely. You can hear her shaken voice. police arrived a short time later and took a statement from the woman, now officers want to find the guy for questioning. Take one more good look. He's wearing a white golf shirt under a black jacket and jeans.
I got daughters, so, you know, I hope they catch him because that's not cool, trying to snatch up young girls out here.
It's very hard living day to day, not knowing where your child is.
Paula Hill hopes that someone who sees these photos will help bring her missing daughter home and help mend her broken heart.
She's 8 on here. I wrote her on the back.
10 long years have passed since the young black girl in these precious memories disappeared without a trace. Her name is Shamika Cozy. She vanished just a few days after Christmas that year.
On December the 28th, 2008, that was the last day that I seen her.
You've come back to this neighborhood a number of times.
Oh, yeah.
Her daughter was here, just outside St. Louis, watching movies with her cousins when everyone woke up the next morning and discovered she was gone. She was 16 years old, a door was unlocked, and police believe she ran away, so they never searched for the girl.
They not doing anything because they think she gone on her own. I don't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to.
Shamika Cozy's story was different in the sense that she vanished without a trace.
Chandrea Thomas is a local news anchor and reporter who produces a podcast documenting forgotten cases of missing black Americans. This was one of her first.
Her belongings, her overnight bag was still left on the counters in the house, and she was never seen again.
She says police and the press often dismiss black cases as runaways.
It has been difficult to get some of these stories told when it comes to missing people of color, cold cases involving people of color. And I felt like if I can do my part as far as having this podcast, I can tell any story I want about whoever I want, however I want, for however long I want to.
At the Center for Missing and Exploited Children, Director Robert Lowery told us that roughly 800,000 Americans go missing each year.
What percentage of those are African American or of color?
About 60% of the reports that we see here in the U.S. that go in those databases.
More than half.
Well over half. It really breaks a lot of commonly held thought on who are really the missing children in the U.S.
The numbers show that missing black Americans are disproportionately represented. In 2018, more than 30% of all missing persons were black Americans, despite making up just 13% of the total U.S. population. But only around a fifth of those cases are followed by the news. Frustrated with little help and even less attention, Paula Hill and her family went searching on their own.
This idea that she ran away, you don't believe that?
No. No. Do I believe she left on her own with someone? Yes. But she was intending to come back. She was not intending to stay gone for 10 years.
We are in front of the Berkeley Police Station. This is the police department that was investigating this case. We ended up sitting down with Major Art Jackson, who is, of course, African American, and defends the way police are handling the case.
How come the police never did a search on this?
There was no evidence to support a physical search. This is one of the hardest things to investigate as a missing person, especially if a person is missing with, like I said, with no signs of anything, just voluntarily walks away. Now, if a person is missing, they've been kidnapped or anything like that, you're gonna have signs of struggle. You're gonna have things to go by to help you put that piece of the puzzle together. So, in reality, sometimes law enforcement and sometimes media, we like, hey, that person did it voluntarily. So that's on them.
It is quite the mystery, and there are dozens of missing persons cases that I've followed over the last few years where the effort on the ground and on the airwaves was massive and hopeful. But all of these cases have one significant thing in common. The victims were white Americans. I was one of the reporters covering 17-year-old Caitlin Fresina in 2017, who went missing in Florida. At the same time, 14-year-old Yania Javon Carter disappeared near Atlanta. Carter didn't get half the media attention, but luckily she was found alive. Natalie and Derica Wilson run a foundation that helps search for missing black and Hispanic children.
There are so many families of color who are desperately searching for their missing loved one, and they are just asking for just 1 second or a couple of seconds of media coverage, and it can change the narrative for them.
We also understand that the decision makers don't look like us, and so these cases are not sensitive enough where they want to air it.
We got more than an earful from this group of parents and loved ones of missing black children in Washington, D.C. They told us they'd take a fraction of the compassion and attention that went to the families of Natalie Holloway, Elizabeth Smart, Lacey Peterson, and so many others.
When you see me as an African American in this country out covering these cases over and over again of missing white children, it's depressing to you.
Yes. I know how many missing people of color that are missing. I would say, well, do he do his homework to talk about us?
Yeah, it pissed me off to see you reporting somebody's child other than mine. Me and this person's child can go missing around the same time. But I had to fight to get mine on local news, and this person's on national news with the FBI overnight.
Exactly.
I was like, I'm tired, and I'm frustrated, and I'm pissed.
They want America to take a greater interest in these names. Unique Harris, Christian Muse, Relisha Rudd, Keisha Jacobs, and Terrence Woods Jr., who went missing last October.
Tell me, if you each can tell me about your loved ones.
Well, my daughter Unique, I definitely miss her jovial attitude. She always could just walk in a room and brighten up the room, and she kept me laughing even when I didn't want to laugh.
Keisha, she was 21 when she went missing, but she was still my baby. She's the one that we used to have movie nights, and she'd lay up in the bed with me and we'll watch movies and eat popcorn.
As a child, 8-year-old, normal child, her laughter, her playfulness, she was very beautiful.
I'll have dreams about Christian, and in these dreams, I will be boo-hooing crying, you know, in my dream. But then I'll wake up with that same feeling of sorrow, and no physical tears are coming out.
My son, Terrence, he was my best friend. And this just recently happened, so, I mean, every Christmas, he would put up the Christmas tree. So this Christmas, it was like really different, you know, and he was with 11 other people, but he's the only one that we're missing without a physical trace. Like she was just saying, it just hit me like a gut shot. On Tuesday nights, he would sit in my room and we watch TV together and watch a movie together. I don't even like walking down the hall going towards his room. The sheriff department or nobody is really helping out.
Terrence Woods Jr. went missing last fall in the forests of Ora Grande, Idaho, where he was shooting a documentary. Within a week, police ended the search, saying no leads were obtained and no signs of Mr. Woods have been located in the search area. They also say they're continuing to monitor the situation. His father says they've told him nothing since.
I think a lot of people get the misunderstanding that we immediately get help from the police department. That's not the case.
But there's a small ray of hope shining on the horizon. At the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they're bringing in representatives from local law enforcement and the news departments in the D.C. area to point these differences out.
We've initiated a minority children initiative here to examine that very question. Those large-scale searches, in our experience, have been predominantly for Caucasian children, and reasons that we don't always understand.
As for the families, their voices filled with anger and frustration, they say they'll never stop looking.
So a number of you have been dealing with this for years. What advice do you give to this father who's 4 months in?
I'm gonna tell you straight up, don't give up. Like you said, don't accept nothing nobody say. Can't nobody tell you no, and you keep fighting until you can't fight no more.
And remember, that's your child, and nobody, and I mean nobody, is going to fight for your child like you do.
Do you expect to get answers?
Oh, yeah.
Everything in my heart is telling me that Keisha is alive, but I believe she is coming home to me.
Terrence?
My son is coming home.
Paula Hill shares this determined optimism. She and her other 2 children have submitted DNA samples to a national registry, praying for a match.
And this is her big sister.
And when she's down, she looks through these memories of the daughter she's missing and finds her joy.
I still have hope that one day I'm going to find my child.
For Nightline, I'm Steve Osunsami in Washington.
So listen, I know that was like overwhelming and, you know, stressful and even fearful at some points, but I'm not going to just show you things and just, you know, raise concern and not have a solution. I've been working on something for the last 3 months, you know, and just finalized it. And, you know, it's designed to keep women and our children safe and protected as much as possible. So I'm going to need the entire community support. I'm going to need people to get behind it. I'm going to need you to take, you know, kidnapping, human trafficking, just simple attacks. It could be road rage where, you know, you're female in the car and you might cut somebody off and get into a crazy situation where you have to protect yourself. I've came up with this system and it's going to help us be more safe than we are now. And the only way that it's really going to work is if we all take this serious, you know, take the situation serious, because we don't have the police in our corner. We don't have the government in our corner. So we need our community to be, you know, alert all day, every day. All right. So I'll be getting back to you guys soon.